and I invite him to this lecture. Organic molecules are invisible, yet they leave a signature as they interact with electromagnetic radiations. Dr. Shailesh will today help us unravel these signature secrets. I welcome you to this session, sir. I even welcome our beloved principal, Dr. S.E. Nataraja, and our HOD, Dr. M.P. Somshekarappa, to this lecture. I welcome Dr. Ganesh Acharya, who will be chairing and moderating this session. I request our principal to speak few words before we begin.
Good morning, one and all. I believe I am audible to everyone.
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes, fine, thank you. So, at the outset, let me know, honestly welcome Dr. Shailesh. I know, upon the invitation of Dr. Pratima, he has agreed, in spite of his, hectic work and all that, to present, a talk on, spectroscopy. So, I'm very grateful to Dr. Vajreka to educate our students and teachers about the spectroscopy and allied things. Obviously, I have to thank Department of College Education, our commissioner, and the Department of Chemistry, and each and everyone who is behind organizing this international webinar series. So I am extremely happy to be part of this session. I sincerely ask everyone to please pardon me if I just exit out of this session. Obviously, I have to see few academic administrative things, and I try to rejoin again. Please kindly permit me to do those things. I wish the session will bring good things out in understanding spectroscopy. So thank you one and all, especially Dr. Shailesh. Good morning and good day to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Nataraj, sir. You can exit the session and rejoin any time at your convenience. Thank you, sir. May I take few minutes to introduce the chairperson of this session. He is my colleague, Dr. Ganesh Acharya. He is the youngest among us all. He is assistant professor of our chemistry. To tell about his scholastic record, he has completed his MSc from Kuvempu University in the year 2003 with 3rd rank and distinction. He completed his PhD under the guidance of Dr. Orthobanayaka from Kuvempu University. His topic for the thesis was Synthesis of Electroactive Organic Compounds for the Surface Modification of Some Industrially Important Metals. He did his postdoctoral fellowship from the Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore between the year 2007 to 2008 in the Department of Inorganic and Physical Chemistry. He is awarded with the Seed Money to Young Scientists for Research in the year 2009-2010 from the VGST DST Government of Karnataka. And he got his postdoctoral fellowship by Procter & Gamble USA to pursue his postdoctoral studies at Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore. And he has achieved a prize for securing highest marks in chemistry at BSc level, a silver medal for securing highest marks in state level literary examination, and best research paper cash prizes in national and international conferences. He has a wide teaching experience. He has been teaching in the Kuvempu University as a lecturer, and at present he is working as assistant professor in our department. He has a strong hold on his research, which is mainly physical chemistry, and he has completed that VGST project, which was for 5.5 lakhs. He has published in 28 journals with high impact factor. His total impact factor is 26.52. I have to say here that a research work on polymer shield against corrosion was selected as the best research work and highlighted in Nature India journal in 2008 June. and he has presented his papers in 29 national conferences, and he has got Best Research Paper awards. He is a reviewer of international research journals like Synthetic Metals, Journal of Engineering, Journal of Electrochemical Society, and Palgo journals. He has worked as resource person for refresher courses and delivered various lectures in different places. And he has been a co-author for a book, Physical Chemistry 1, which is a part of distance education under the Kuvempu University. He is a life member of many professional bodies. With this small introduction, and he has given a research related documentary program in All India Radio. We have with us a very eminent and appropriate person to chair this session. Both Dr. Shailesh and Dr. Ganesh are youngsters. So I now leave this session to Dr. Ganesh.
Hello everyone. I hope I am audible to all of you.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Kindly continue.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone. A very good morning to all. At the outset, I would like to welcome all the participants to the 5th day of the International E-Conference series on Advances in Chemical Sciences, Health and Education, organized by the Department of Chemistry, IDSG Government College, Chikmagaluru. Today we are having a plenary session on approach to solving spectroscopic problems by a very eminent, extremely well-versed resource person, Dr. Shailesh N. Wajekar. I am very much delighted to be here to chair the session today. I am sure that the topic of today's session will be very useful not only to the chemists but also all other branches of sciences, and particularly for students who are having a dream of cracking UGC CSIR, GATE and other competitive examinations. It's a pleasure for me to introduce Dr. Shailesh N. Wajekar. Dr. Shailesh N. Wajekar is an associate professor of chemistry at Changu Kana Thakur Arts, Commerce and Science College, Panvel, Navi Mumbai, Maharashtra. He obtained his bachelor's and master's degrees from University of Mumbai and secured distinction. Dr. Wajekar completed his PhD degree in June 2020 from Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai, under the guidance of Professor Ganapathy S. Shankarling. His PhD thesis title is Greener Synthesis of Novel Functional Colorants and Heterocyclic Compounds for High-Tech Applications. Dr. Shailesh N. Wajekar has qualified NET CSIR Junior Research Fellowship in December 2009. He has a brilliant teaching experience since November 2005. Dr. Wajekar is a life member of Association of Chemistry Teachers since 22/12/2017, and he is a member of Society of Dyers and Colorists UK. He is awarded with Certificate of Appreciation by Society of Dyers and Colorists UK for successful conduct of STC's 8th Annual International Conference Color Trends 2011, held on 3rd and 4th June 2011 in Mumbai, and also awarded with Certificate of Recognition and Excellence as a part of organizing team of the Chem Careers India 2012, jointly organized by the Institute of Chemical Technology India and Royal Society of Chemistry UK, held at ICT Mumbai on 20th October 2012. He has 7 research papers to his credit, published in reputed peer-reviewed international journals, and presented 12 research papers in the national and international conferences. He has published 3 books, one each in inorganic, organic, and physical chemistry. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Shailesh N. Wajekar to take over the session. And being the chair of the session, it is my duty to inform all the participants that the lecture will be of 15 minutes and there will be a question and answer session of 10 minutes. And the participants are requested to raise the question only after the lecture, unless the speaker wish to hear the questions by the audience in between. And the question should be short and within the frame of the theme of session. So this is all the basic guidance to the participants. Now Dr. Vajekar will take over this session and he will deliver an interesting lecture, and hope all the audience and participants will benefit out of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So, am I audible?
Yes, yes, Dr. Shailesh, you are.
So, good morning to
you are.
everyone. Good morning to everyone. So, without wasting time, we will start with our presentation. So, the title of my presentation or this online lecture is Approach to Solving Spectroscopic Problems. So, dear friends, we know that the spectroscopy, there are so many methods of spectroscopy, correct? So, whether it is organic chemistry or analytical chemistry or any non-science like geography also, or if you remember the Chandrayaan mission or any mission by NASA, whenever a rover goes to any planet, the spectroscopic method or spectroscopic device is attached to that rover so that the information is gathered. So today we will stick to the spectroscopic techniques which are used in chemistry and other science backgrounds to detect the organic molecules, what kind of molecule is there, or what information can be gathered. So first, so in the spectroscopy, the first point comes is index of hydrogen deficiency. The short form is or abbreviation is IHD. It is also known as unsaturation index or sites or degrees of unsaturation. Now the formula is simple. So there are many reference books on the spectroscopy, like spectroscopy by Pavia or spectroscopy by Silverstein or Wilhelm Kempf, or our Indian authors also, like spectroscopy by Kelsey. So in each book the formula is different. Okay, so this is the simplest formula, so our student can also remember it very easily. And this formula is so fast that if you know the molecular formula of the compound, within a second you can find out how many double bonds present in the compound. So the formula is C+1 minus monovalent minus trivalent divided by 2. So you can see C for carbon atoms, M for monovalent atoms like hydrogen, halogen, etc. Trivalent, T for trivalent atoms like nitrogen. Phosphorus is also trivalent, but generally it is not involved in organic chemistry. Yes. So the note is divalent atoms like oxygen, sulfur are not counted in the formula. Means if the molecular formula is given and if the oxygen or sulfur is shown, you have to just ignore those atoms. What you have to consider? See the formula: carbon, then monovalent atoms like hydrogen, halogen, and trivalent atoms like nitrogen. So we will see the example. See, the first example is propene. So the molecular formula is C3H6. Now use that formula. So C3 means C3 plus 1 is 4 minus monovalent is hydrogens are 6. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. So 4 minus 3, answer is 1. So the propene contains one double bond. So the next molecule is N-propanol. Now as I said, you have to ignore the oxygen atom. Oxygen atom is a divalent atom, and in that formula there is no D. No divalent atom is involved. So see, C3 N-propanol we are considering. 3 plus 1 is 4. Hydrogen are 8. So 8 divided by 2, 4. So 4 minus 4 is 0. So propanol doesn't contain any double bond. So the next molecule is very simple molecule, acetone or propanone. Molecular formula is C3. Means 3 plus 1 is 4 and minus 3. 4 minus 3, answer is 1. And finally nitroethane. See the molecular formula C2H5. So carbon, 2, 2 plus 1 is 3. Now the important thing is trivalent atom, T is there. So nitrogen is trivalent atom. So monovalent atom, hydrogen. So 5 minus 1, 1 for nitrogen atom. 5 minus 1, 4. 4 divided by 2, 2. Correct? And carbon are 2. 2 plus 1, 3. So 3 minus 2 is 1. So the one double bond is coming. That is for that nitro group. Correct? And see the below example. This specially is shown for ring compound. You can see the first compound is, this one is hexane, N-hexane. If you remove 2 hydrogen atoms, this is as good as double bond. But if you remove 2 hydrogen atoms, means if it is like a formation of a double bond. But here ring is forming, not a double bond. So this N-hexane, upon losing 2 hydrogen atom means 1 hydrogen molecule. So one hydrogen molecule is expelled, removed to get this cyclohexane. Now the molecular formula is C6H12. Use the formula. So this is 7 minus 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. So answer is coming 1. But we can see there is no double bond. So here one answer is for that ring. So ring compound shows index of hydrogen deficiency 1. Now our benzene. Now the benzene is C6H6. So this is 7 minus 3. Correct? Use the formula. This is 7 minus 3. See, you can just imagine, you need not to use pen and paper also. Correct now? This formula is so simple. So just look at the molecular formula and do the calculation in the air only, imagination. You will get the answer within 4-5 seconds. Okay. So this is 7 minus 3. Answer is 4. So how many double bonds? You can see 3 double bond and 1 is for ring. So total IHD is 4 for benzene. So as I said, this is the first part in a spectroscopy. Molecular formula, if it is given, use this formula and find out the double bond. Now friends, we'll begin with now NMR spectroscopy. The full form is nuclear magnetic resonance. Now nucleus can be hydrogen nucleus or carbon nucleus or any other. But in organic chemistry or analytical chemistry also, generally we deal with hydrogen, that is 1H, or C13, that is carbon nucleus. Okay, these are very famous spectroscopic techniques, 1H technique and C13 technique. So this is nuclear magnetic resonance. Now first we'll start with 1H NMR spectroscopy. Now if the spectrum is 1H NMR spectrum is given to you, what information can be gathered? Now 1H NMR, it is also called as PMR also. PMR, proton magnetic resonance spectroscopy. Now if a spectrum is given to you, what information can be collected? See, the first one is number of signals. How many different types of hydrogens in the molecule are present? Correct? If the number of signals are 5, means there are 5 types of hydrogens present in the molecule. We will see this in next slides. Position of signals means values of chemical shift. So position of signal or values of chemical shift give us the information about what types of hydrogens are present. Okay, whether they are d-shielded hydrogen, shielded hydrogen, hydrogens attached to the electronegative atom, hydrogen attached to the electron releasing atom, or conjugated group. Let us see. Now the next point is relative areas under signals. Means if a signal or peak, if peak is there and the area under that peak or area under that signal, that can be correlated with integration, and that integration will give you how many hydrogens. Means this is actually quantitative. Correct? The first 2 points are qualitative. Now third point we are discussing, it is it is purely quantitative. How many number means it is number of hydrogens you are calculating. And the last one is splitting pattern. How many neighboring hydrogens are there? Okay. One more thing is, since the duration is 50 minutes and spectroscopy is a huge part, it requires almost 1 week to cover the spectroscopic techniques, and we are trying to cover it in a 1 hour. So I'm going little bit faster, okay, so that we can cover maximum part. And whatever questions come to your mind, you just note down those questions, and after this speech or my lecture, you can ask me any question about the spectroscopy. Now we know in a spectroscopy like 1H or C13, the standard very regularly used is TMS. TMS, tetramethylsilane, correct? The formula is that structure is given. Formula is Si for silicon, and that 4-methyl group. Now why we use TMS? There are so many reasons, correct? Because those protons are highly shielded, correct? And this is soluble in many organic solvent. So those are the characteristics. It is inert, volatile, and TMS is a standard, means what, or is a reference, so its peak is adjusted to 0. Okay, TMS signal is adjusted to 0 because it is standard or reference. And relative to TMS, the peaks of our compound, our organic molecule, are measured, correct? So TMS peak is always 0. Now next one is chemical shift values. Now that's that delta, that symbol is delta. Now chemical shift value on x-axis, means horizontal axis, gives the position of an NMR signal, and chemical shift values are measured in ppm, parts per million. Now the formula, see the ppm, the observed chemical shift of our molecule. Okay, the molecule to be characterized. Now that observed chemical shift in hertz and downfield from TMS, means relative to TMS. Okay, TMS is 0, so from that 0 where the peak is appearing, peak of your molecule divided by frequency, that mu, that is not V, it is mu of the NMR spectrometer, frequency of NMR spectrometer. And normally NMR spectrometer, the frequency is in megahertz, the unit is megahertz. So in old days, means like 40-50 years ago, the old spectrometry instrument, they have capacity 60 megahertz, 40 megahertz. But nowadays the techniques are so advanced, or sophisticated instruments are available, so those megahertz now 500, 600 very common, correct? So it can be around 1000, 1500. So values of spectrometer is very high now. And see the last point, delta value, that is chemical shift value, is independent of the spectrometer use. Whatever frequency of NMR instrument is there, whether it is 400 megahertz, 500 megahertz, the value, delta value, will not change because it is relative. Okay. Now see, I was discussing this delta value, 0 for TMS. It can be -1, -2 also. Okay, when it is, if your proton are highly shielded, like annulins, okay, annulins, 18 annulin, 16 annulin, in those cases, okay, minus value, -1, -2, those values are also possible. Means if the protons are highly shielded compared to TMS, TMS protons are already highly shielded, but compared to TMS, if the protons present in your molecule are highly shielded, then those value will go to the negative side. Otherwise, see the last row or last line, 0 delta ppm, that is the chemical shift value. Then it is 1 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It is 10 only shown, but it can go up to 14, 15, 16. Now, 12 is for 12 delta ppm is for carboxylic acid. Those we will see in next slide. So it is 10 is just for our understanding here. It goes up to 16, 17. Now, okay, see this value chart and see the first molecule. TMS is 0, okay, and your methyl group or methyl group 0.9, correct. Now next is CH2 1.3. As see the trend is as the substitution increases, value increases, correct. Then the CH 1.4 and CH3 attached to the this alkene part. CH3 attached to the alkene part. This is 1.7. These values are for proton or hydrogens. Now the next is COCH3. COCH3 means acetyl group. So this methyl group present in acetyl group, or in other words, the methyl group attached to the ketonic group or carbonyl group or methyl group next to the ketonic group, the value is 2.1 because this carbonyl group is electron withdrawing. So these protons are deshielded. If value is high means deshielding is there, correct. See the earlier higher frequency, less shielding or deshielding values are, see the left arrow, this is deshielding, and if the values are around 1, around 2, those are shielding part, and if the values are 9, 10 delta ppm, those are deshielding part. Now see the next is this toluene. Toluene is shown, and that methyl group in toluene value is 2.3 because that phenyl ring is also electron withdrawing. And next is this acetylene part or alkyne, triply bonded alkyne part or acetylene part, value is 2.4 because this alkyne carbon is sp carbon, and sp carbon is very electron, that carbon is very electron negative because 50% s character. Okay, next is this ether value 3.3. This next is this alkene proton. Now alkene carbon and the proton attached to the alkene carbon is 4.7, and next is also alkene, but the value is increased because the substitution increase now. Okay, higher substitution value is higher. Now the next, see the benzene, this value is 6.5 to 8. Now the range is shown, it depends on what type of substituent present on the benzene ring. If the substituent is electron donating or electron releasing, then the value of this proton present on the benzene ring, value will be less because proton will be shielded, means it will be 6.7, 6.8. And if electron withdrawing group like nitro group is attached to the benzene ring, value will go very high, and it will be around 8 delta ppm. And for pure benzene C6H6, the value is 7.2. It is fixed. If you take a benzene, pure benzene, value is 7.2. Okay. The next is aldehyde, 9 to 10. Generally we show around 9.5. So this 9 to 10 range is given. Now the hydrogen attached to the carbon, which is attached to the iodine. Okay. Next is, now these hydrogens are attached to the carbon where halogen is attached, correct. Now halogens are electron withdrawing, or their halogens are electronegative atoms. That's why values are high, because here deshielding of proton take place. Next is RNH2. RNH2 means amine, and value variable. Variable means value is not fixed. Okay, it can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 4. This range is shown, but Again, this is not fixed. It can go to 5, 6 also. Okay. Again, next is alcohol. Again, range is shown, but as I said, this value is not fixed. It depends on what type of environment present in that molecule. We will see in our few slides, we have shown the different values for alcohol. Now the next is AROH, means aryl alcohol. Aryl alcohol, we called it as phenol. Now again, the range is a little bit higher compared to alcohol, because that AR group, that phenyl group, is electron withdrawing. That's why value increases. And no doubt that AROH, if you know the anisotropy effect, okay, that is a separate concept or important concept in spectroscopy, magnetic anisotropy. And because of that magnetic anisotropy of benzene ring, the value is little bit higher for alcohol. The next is carboxylic acid. Value is 10 to 12 for carboxylic acid. Then this amide value is 5 to 8. But again, these values are variable, not fixed. They can come anywhere. But the important point is this amine, RNH2, alcohol, ROH, or phenol, carboxylic acid, NH2, this amide proton, they show broad peak in NMR, HNMR spectroscopy. We will see some spectra where you will get broad peak instead of sharp peak. Now see, this is same thing, repetition. You can see, start from right hand side, saturated carbon 0 to 1.5 means for simple or primary carbon 0.9, secondary 1.2, tertiary 1.4. Now this allylic around 2.5, halogen atom attached, value increases slightly. Then this vinylic or olefinic or alkene carbon, value is around 6. Then this aromatic protons, value around 7 plus minus. And finally this carboxylic acid or aldehyde values are very high. Now see, left hand side most deshielded, right hand side least deshielded. Okay, now see the left hand side, this molecule methyl chloride. This is methyl chloride, value is 3.05 delta ppm because of the chlorine atom attached. Okay, now see the middle molecule, there are 2 chlorine atom attached, so value is slightly increased. Okay, this is dichloromethylene, methylene dichloride, middle molecule. And the next one is chloroform, a trichloromethane, chloroform or trichloromethane, value is very high because there are now 3 chlorine atoms and they are highly electronegative. See the below part, right hand side. Now see the proton, that pinkish or reddish proton, value is higher because this bromine is attached next to next carbon. Okay, compared to above, this chlorine is directly attached to that carbon, but this bromine is not directly attached to the carbon, it is slightly away. Okay, and as you go to the left hand side, you can see value increases because the distance is now decreased in this molecule. Correct, here bromine is directly attached to the carbon, that's why value is higher. But here value decreases because now distance is increased. Now distance is increased more, so value is decreased more. Now the carboxylic acid, hydrogen bonding is shown. Now we know that hydrogen bonding is possible between this hydrogen proton and this electronegative oxygen. These are delta minus delta plus partial charges are shown. Now because of this hydrogen bonding, what happens? The carboxylic acid, they exist as dimers. Okay, a single molecule of carboxylic acid in a solution doesn't exist, it exists as a dimer, and no doubt it affects the value, and you can see this molecule, the below molecule, methyl salicylate. Okay, now see, value is around 14, here it is shown. For what? For OH, what value we have shown for phenol? AROH, if you remember, it was around 5, 6. Okay, around 5, 6. Normally it comes, but it is very high because of this hydrogen bonding. Now this hydrogen is highly deshielded because it is attached to the 2 oxygen atoms, correct? And that's why value goes very high. It is around 14 ppm. Now next part is spin-spin splitting or spin-spin coupling. Now see this first molecule. This is methyl chloride or chloromethane. Now these 3 proton or these 3 hydrogens are same or they are equivalent. Same or equivalent in the sense of magnetic environment or stereochemistry also. So both environment, stereochemical environment and magnetic environment, these 3 hydrogens or 3 protons are same. So they will not couple each other. So this molecule methyl chloride, yeah, chloromethane, will show a singlet in HNMR spectrum. Now here comes a second molecule. This is, you can see, this is dichloroethane, 1,2-dichloroethane, yeah, ethylene dichloride. This is ethylene dichloride, very famous solvent in organic chemistry. Now you can see this, there are 2 sets of hydrogen. Okay, this is 1 set of hydrogen, 1 set. But again, if you see the stereochemistry or magnetic environment, this is highly symmetric molecule, correct? And because of this symmetry, this all 4 hydrogens are same, correct? See, you go from right hand direction or left hand direction, okay, and if these hydrogens are same, so these 4 CH protons are chemically equivalent and stereochemically also they are equivalent, so they will not split each other. Okay, again you will get singlet for this compound. Okay, see the below case. Now what is shown, see this pink hydrogen, here is 1 bond, this is 1 bond, this is second bond, this is third bond. Now when splitting take place, that is point, when splitting take place, if there is 3 bonds, 3 or 2 bonds are present in between 2 hydrogens, then splitting take place, then splitting or coupling take place. Now see this molecule, how many bonds in between? Now this is a hydrogen, this is bond number 1, bond number 2, bond number 3, bond number 4. There are 4 bonds between these 2 hydrogens. So here splitting will not take place. Okay, because what is the line? Protons that are farther or away from each other than 2 carbon atoms apart do not split each other. 2 carbon atoms up means here 2 carbons are involved, but here it is more than 2 carbons. Okay, so in that case, or in other words, as I said, 3 bonds and here 4 bonds. If there are 2 bonds or 4 bonds are in between the 2 hydrogen, then splitting occur. More than 3 bonds, so here 4 bonds, no splitting is observed. Now this is similar representation. See this is dimethyl ether or methoxymethane. 11th this IUPAC nomenclature is a 11th chemistry part. Now what is happening? These 2 methyl groups are symmetrical, identical or equivalent. So you will get a single peak, okay, for these 6 protons. Now the next molecule, this is ethyl chloride, a chloroethane. Now see there are 2 sets. I have shown HAHB. Now HAHB, and because of this, now this is not symmetrical. You will get 2 sets of hydrogen or 2 types of hydrogens are present. So you will get 2 NMR signals. Now the next molecule is, see this is methoxyethane or ethyl methyl ether. Alphabetically you have to see ethyl methyl ether. Now 3 types of hydrogens, HA, HB, HC and 3 3 peaks. You will get 3 NMR signal or 3 NMR peaks. Now the next is, see this. What is shown, if you want to, find out, or if you want to ascertain how many types of peaks are there, you have to draw the molecule completely. Okay, you cannot draw like this. Okay, or you cannot draw like this. You will get incomplete information, because see this, what is happening? Sometimes cis or trans chemistry is involved. Correct. Here also, sometimes cis or trans chemistry involved. So to find out how many types of proton, you have to show the complete molecule with stereochemistry. Okay, that is shown here. Now this is same thing. Upper one is same. Now see the below case. Okay, cis2 chlorine. See this proton. This proton. Now what is shown? Cis2 chlorine. Which chlorine? This. Cis2 this chlorine and cis2 this chlorine. Actually, this molecule is again symmetrical. You can pass the plane of symmetry. You can pass the plane of symmetry from here. Okay, so molecule is symmetrical. So again, they will not split each other. Okay, you will get a single peak. Here it is, I have shown. You will get a single peak. Now see this. This molecule is not symmetrical. You cannot pass the plane. Okay, only plane is that can be possible is molecular plane. Okay, those who know the symmetry element or point, they know what do you mean by molecular plane. The plane passing through the molecule. Okay, if you, so see, this molecule is unsymmetrical, and what is written? This is cis2Cl, cis2Cl, and this is cis2bromine. So these two hydrogens are not same. That's why they are shown HA, HB, because one is cis2 chlorine, one is cis2 bromine. Okay, and therefore there are two types of signal or two types of peak, and they are called geminal proton. Okay, the protons attached to the same carbon, they are geminal, and proton attached to the adjacent, like this. See this? Protons attached to the adjacent carbon, they are called vicinal. That is vicinal coupling. Here it is geminal coupling. Now what will be the value for geminal coupling and how it occurs, we'll see in the next slide. Here you have to remember that coupling will take place. Now see this. Now this molecule is highly unsymmetrical. This is cis2 chlorine, this is cis2 hydrogen, and what about this? This is trans to this. So all these three protons are different. You will get 3 NMR signals. This is chloropropane, highly symmetrical. See, the molecule is highly symmetrical, so you will get a single peak. Now this is chlorocyclopropane. See, HA, proton attached to this carbon. This is carbon number 1 now. Carbon number 1. Now HB. HB means the proton cis2 chlorine, because this chlorine has 3 lone pair, don't forget. So those lone pair and effect of those lone pair will be felt or will be experienced by these hydrogens. So the environment is different. Okay, they are cis2 chlorine and here they are trans to chlorine. The environment is different because they are farther or they are away from chlorine atom. So there are 3 sets of hydrogen and 3 NMR signals you will get. Okay, now see here, 2 signals. Okay, this is okay. See the aromatic molecule. This is your benzene, C6H6, highly symmetrical. All protons or all hydrogens are same, so you will get a singlet. And if you remember, I told you the value for pure benzene is 7.2. It is fixed 7.2. And here now nitro group is there, and because of that nitro, see these 2 proton HC proton, they are ortho to the nitro group. So this is one set of proton. Next is HA, they are meta to the nitro. This is second set of proton. HB, they are para to the nitro group. So this is third type of proton. So that's why there are 3 sets or 3 types of protons. You will get 3 signals. Okay, and value will be as I said, for benzene it is 7.2, but because of this electron withdrawing group, value will go higher. It will be around 8.5. Okay, value will be different for all these three protons. Okay, this is same thing, prediction of signal. Okay, now we will go to the very important part, integration. Now, integration, if NMR spectrum is in your hand, so at PG level, MSc level, such types of spectra are there. You have to calculate the integration, or how many numbers of proton. Okay, quantity. This is quantitative, what we are going to discuss now. See, the molecule is, see this CH3 and this tertiary butyl group, correct? Now what is happening? This integration value is 20. 20 means it is mm, millimeter value. 20 unit is mm, millimeter, and this 60 is again mm, 60 millimeter. Okay, now how to solve this, I will show you. See this arrow, what it indicates, what is integration area under this peak, area under this peak. Now this is 20, now this is 60, so this area will be little wider, or this area will be little bigger compared to this. This area is large or wider compared to this, because 60 means the protons are many. This part, this is this peak. Okay, okay, I will explain this in different way. Okay, now see, this is the one problem. C9, those are seeing on mobile. Okay, they will find it difficult to see that. Okay, because, but for them I will read. What is the molecular formula? If you have pen and paper, you can write down. Molecular formula is C9H10O2, C9H10O2, and this is integration shown. This value is 33, and this is 23, this is 54. Now what you have to do, you have to sum up, or you have to add all these three figures, sum up. So 33, see, 54 plus 23 plus 33, the total is, it is shown 110. Total is 110 divided by, 110 divided by how many protons? See the molecular formula, C9H10O2. So there are 10 hydrogen. So 110 divided by 10, answer comes 11. So there are 11 units. Unit, I said, normally it is mm, millimeter. If you take a spectrum, it is normally it is millimeter. So 11 mm for one proton. You can write down on paper, 11 mm for one proton. So first, this peak or this signal, what it is? 33. 33 means how many protons? 3. So 11 3s are 33. So this is for 3 proton, and this is 11 2s are 22. 11 2s are 22, but here it is 23. So only one difference is there, and that normally occur 1 or 2 or 2 3 differences. All most of the time it is there, that you have to consider. Okay, it cannot be exact. It cannot be exact. So 11 2s are 22. So here it is 23 means it is for 2H, 2 proton, and here it is 11 5s are 55. So it is 54. So it is as good as for 5 proton. So you can see this is for 3 proton, this is for 2. So 3 plus 2 5, and this 5, so total 10. So our molecular formula contains 10 proton. So we have solved this, correct? This is the molecular formula, and these peaks are for, this is for 3 proton, 2 proton, 5 proton. Okay. Okay, this rule, don't read everything. Okay, what is the rule? N plus 1. What is N? Number of adjacent proton or number of adjacent hydrogen. So I will explain this with example. Okay, and this doublet, triplet, quartet, multiplet, those are types of peak. Let us see this. Okay, this molecule, Can you see? So this is here 1 bromine, here 2 bromine. This molecule is not symmetrical. Okay. Now see this first peak. First peak CH2. Which CH2? There is only one CH2 and other is CH. CH is called methine. CH2 is methylene. Like CH3. CH3 is methyl. CH2 is methylene and CH is methine. METHINE. So this is methine proton. So this CH2 value is around 4. Around 4. Why? Because one bromine is attached. Bromine is electron withdrawing, electronegative atom. Now what about this CH? There are 2 bromine. This methine proton, there are 2 bromines. That's why value is very high. Very high means you can see it is around 5.6 or 5.7. Now important thing is splitting pattern. Correct now? Now see the first CH2. CH2 has how many? CH2 has how many adjacent proton? This CH2 has how many adjacent proton? Only 1. Correct? Only 1. So see, our formula is n plus 1. N means number of adjacent proton. So 1 plus 1 means 2. So you will get doublet for this. For this CH2 you will get doublet because of 1 adjacent proton. So you can see CH2 is showing doublet. And what about this? This CH? This CH has 2 adjacent proton. So 2 adjacent proton plus 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. So you will get triplet for this CH. Correct? Now the next is see, actually time is running, so we'll go to the next now. This is NMR. Okay. See, this is infrared spectroscopy. See the values for alkane. Range is 2850. Alkane 3020. This is range. Now alkene means what? You can see these are the alkenes. This carbon is sp2 hybridized. So sp2 hybridized carbon is more electronegative. So that's why value is little bit higher compared to saturated carbon. Aromatic ring, this is the range. Correct? This is as good as your alkene. Correct? 3000 plus, above 3000. Alkyne, triple bond. And this is CH. CH present in alkyne like acetylene. Value is 3300 like alcohol. And OH stretch. OH stretch in alcohol. Now alcohol OH is very polar group, so value is very high. Correct? And B for broad. B for broad peak you will get. Alkene. See 1640 or 1600 value. Aromatic ring. CC. This is CC stretching. And triple bond stretching around 2100. Higher than this because this is double bond stretching, triple bond stretching. More energy is required. Value is higher. This is for primary alcohol. CO stretching 1050. Secondary alcohol value is increased. Tertiary value is increased. Phenol value is increased. Okay, we will see one example. See, around 3000. Actually, this is less than 3000. This is the peak. What is the value? 2850. I normally write 2950. 2950 for aliphatic CH stage. This value 1375. 1375 very important. This is for methyl group. Okay, or methyl bending. This is cyclohexane. You can see there is no methyl group, no peak. We'll see one more. This is the last part we will see, only 5 minutes. Mass spectrometry. What happens in mass spectrometry? Your molecule, it is bombarded with electron. So what happens? The bombarded electron and electron from that molecule. So there 2 electron loss take place and molecular. Yes.
Hello. You can continue, sir. You can take time, no problem. It is not limited to 5 minutes. You can take time.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Dr. Shailesh, you can continue because I know this topic is huge and if one person has to get complete picture, he needs to know everything. So don't rush, sir. You take your time. It's okay. Is it okay with the participants? Can we have a yes from you here typed? Can we stretch the session?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you.
Actually, what happened? I was delivering the lecture and just saw the clock. It is 12 o'clock.
No, sir. It is tough to do everything, but you have
And,
taken up the
expect-
challenge.
yes,
Kindly continue.
thank-
Kindly
thank-
continue.
Okay, thank you. Okay, see now what happened. This peak is called molecular ion. This when one electron is lost, initially you will get molecular ion, and this molecular ion it get defragmented or it breaks into two parts. One is cation, one is radical. See, cation means what? There is a positive charge. Before that, see the molecular ion. What charge it has? Plus charge. Why plus? Because it has lost one electron. Okay, that's why 1 plus. One electron is lost, 1 plus, and that breaks into this cation and this radical. And in mass spectrometry, okay, see the heading by the way. This is not mass spectroscopy. Normally, most of the people do the mistake. They write mass spectroscopy. So this is major thing, mass spectrometry. Because the what is spectroscopy? You should know the basic terms also. Actually, this is not a basic lecture. I should not tell you. Spectroscopy where light is involved, correct? Here no light is involved. Here electrons are involved. Electron bombardment is involved. That's why this technique is spectrometry. Okay. Now fragment. Now cation. Or this is also cation. Positive charge means cation. And mass spectrometry, the peak which is observed, it is only because of cation and not because of radical, because radical is a neutral thing. Okay, let's see. Is that important terminologies in mass spectrometry? Molecular ion, just now we discussed. This as good as molecular ion is as good as molecule because only one electron is lost. Electron weight is negligible. So molecular ion peak is as good as molecule. This peak is the most intense peak in the mass spectrometry. It is assigned 100% intensity. It is by default that instrument, your mass spectrometer, it will decide which peak is seen many times. So it is assigned 100% intensity. That is assigned. So that is default peak, base peak. And relative to that, other peaks are judged. Okay. Next is radical cation. Radical cation, just now we discussed molecular ion. It is radical as well as cation. See this molecular radical cation. Fragment ions we have seen M by Z or M by E. Preference books show it as M by E. It is mass to charge. Z for charge. What is charge? Normally it is positive. Okay. And one positive, correct now? One positive. What is happened? This is molecular ion peak. 43. But now additional carbon is attached. Okay. So this is base peak. Toluene. It is very tall peak, 105 peak. Okay, that is base peak. Benzyl cation. Okay, now in mass spec 3:1. Again, there is a reason, but due to lack of time, we cannot discuss this. But there is a reason why this. What it done here in one peak, chlorine 35 is considered. In the next peak, chlorine 30. Correct.
Yes, sir.
So those are. If you add a particular solvent, what will happen? The peak will get complicated. Correct. And solvent contains impurities. So normally your compound, a single molecule, it dissolve in such a solvent which is what? Deuterated. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we can say that the deuterated solvents can be used for in the NMR.
That is basic. That is basic thing. But Guzar sir is saying whether the peak will get affected or not. So
Yeah.
that answer is yes. Your peak
Yes.
will get affected. It depends on polarity of solvent, how it interact with your molecule. Okay,
Yes.
next question.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And one more question from Professor Kiranmai Agavanda from our college. She is from botany department actually. She is asking the question: are we able to change the frequency of any molecule? What may be the chances and ways? She is asking. Actually, it is not possible, but you can answer correctly for this question.
See, frequency, if you remember, we have discussed NMR spectroscopy, IR, correct? Mass,
Yeah.
frequency come in NMR and IR, okay?
Yeah.
So you cannot change the frequency of molecule, but you can change the frequency of those instruments, correct?
Yeah.
And there are advanced concept like NOE, nuclear Hauser effect, then decoupling, all, okay? But what will happen? Frequency of your particular part of the molecule that can be lowered or that can be stopped, so that peak get masking of peak actually. So that can be done, but those are different parts again. We have to discuss in detail.
It is not possible to change the frequency of a molecule, but instead you can change the frequency of an instrument so that you can get that peak.
Instrument, yeah, and a particular peak can be mask or it can be disappeared.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir. Yes.
Next.
Thank you. I have one more question. On behalf of our students, I am asking this question.
You're welcome.
Can you please briefly explain the significance of anisotropy in NMR spectroscopy? And you can take one example of annulins and metal carbonyls to explain the chemical shift.
Okay, annulins. I'll explain with annulin. But before the answer, let me tell you this is very famous book on spectroscopy, Pavia, and those who want to study it in detail, spectroscopy,
Yes,
those should have such books. The second book I normally referred is this, Silverstein. But if you want to buy hard copy, the book is very costly. But compared to that, Pavia is cheaper.
Pavia is cheaper, and
yes,
Silverstein and Webster is little costlier.
Okay, so now the anisotropy part.
Pratima madam, is it okay if we take few more minutes?
Sir, this session is only for learning, sir. So it's okay. Time is no bar. I think only interested people will be there. So it's okay, sir. No problem. I should ask.
2 minutes. 2 minutes I will explain this.
Okay.
It will not take much time.
I hope Shailesh sir does not have any other appointments post this.
No issue, no issue.
Okay. Then you can carry on, sir. No problems. So while Shailesh gets through that question, I think we can, Ganesh sir, I think we can answer this question from Raghavendra SN. He's asking, can we only use mass spectrometry for characterization nowadays, or other spectra is essential? Ganesh sir, can you take it up until Shailesh gets back? Ganesh sir? Okay, Raghavendra sir, we cannot use only mass spectrometry for characterization as far as I know.
Okay, madam.
And we will need other techniques, but we cannot use XRD also as if only if the molecule is big enough we can do XRD. But if you are talking about organic molecules, then I think we need we may need UV only to see whether there is unsaturation in the molecule. For support we need IR, NMR, and mass only for molecular weight, sir. Molecular weight you can use mass, and you can predict the fragmentation pattern. But only mass spectrometry, no chance. You cannot do 100% characterization. I hope Shailesh agrees with me.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Raghvendra sir, is that okay?
Okay, madam. That's okay. No problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you see this molecule?
Yes, Shailesh, it's visible. It's
Okay,
clear.
okay. Now see, anisotropy effect. What will happen? Suppose, imagine this molecule is horizontal, okay, like you are holding a notebook in a horizontal fashion, and from the bottom side you are applying a magnetic field, okay. So what will happen? This inner proton, there are 6 proton or 6 hydrogen. What will happen? They will experience, they will feel the magnetic, the external magnetic field more, okay. And to oppose that magnetic field, this molecule itself, this 18-annuline, it is aromatic. What it will do? It will produce its own induced magnetic field. So that word is induced magnetic field. And how it goes from the center, see the lines are like this, from the center going downward, then coming upward. And what will happen? That induced magnetic field will oppose to the applied magnetic field. So at the center part, what will happen? The opposition to the external magnetic field by induced magnetic field is very high, and because of that these protons are highly shielded, the middle proton. But what will happen about this peripheral? This red one are peripheral. This induced magnetic field as well as external magnetic field, both are in parallel direction. Or this proton, red proton, they are feeling, they are experiencing both the magnetic field, external as well as induced magnetic field, that is produced by that molecule itself. So these red protons are feeling or experiencing both the magnetic field, and because of that de-shielding will occurs and the values goes very high. You can see the value is 8.2, and at the center the induced magnetic field, it is opposite to the external magnetic field. So opposition take place and shielding take place. So value, you can see this is minus, okay. And there is a word in anisotropy, this peripheral proton, they will feel reinforcement. Reinforcement matlab induced magnetic field plus external magnetic field, both the field are reinforced onto the peripheral proton. So double magnetic field, double impact on the peripheral proton. So that is de-shielding occurs and value goes high. So is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, there are many diagrams where you will understand this. I orally discuss this. Okay.
Yeah.
Next question, any?
If there are any other questions, you can ask. If there are no questions, I can conclude, I think.
I have one question for Shailesh. One.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Shailesh.
Sure.
You have worked on nanomaterials, right?
Okay.
So are these methods applicable for nanomaterials?
For nanomaterials, the very we can say simple technique or basic technique we generally use is UV spectroscopy. Okay, then higher techniques will sophisticated techniques will come into the picture, like XRD or SEM, TEM. Okay, but for organic chemist concern, you can use only this what UV spectroscopy. Otherwise, nanomaterials you cannot use IR, mass, and all those techniques. Okay.
Thank you.
What other questions?
Nothing more, I think. Ganesh sir, you can take over. Conclude.
Thank you. So I think I can conclude the session. So I can say that the Dr. Wajekar started with the importance of spectroscopy, and he highlighted on the index of hydrogen deficiency in a molecule. And his talk was emphasized with the great knowledge of NMR spectroscopy and chemical shifts, etc., by taking various examples of molecules. And the speaker has done a commendable job in guiding us about the fundamentals and applications of different spectroscopies like NMR, IR, and mass spectroscopy. And he highlighted on the integration value, particularly in the NMR spectroscopy, by taking few examples. And also he has highlighted on the aspects of IR spectroscopy, mass spectroscopy. So in conclusion, I can say that it was a wonderful session, and it was very useful presentation, particularly for our students and those who are interested to study the molecules with respect to spectroscopy. And I heartily congratulate Dr. Wajekar personally, and I thank him personally and on behalf of the Department of Chemistry and on behalf of IDSG Government College, Chikmagaluru. Thank you one and all. Thank you, Dr. Wajekar, sir.
Thank you very much. Actually, 1 hour duration was short. My presentations were very lengthy, but no doubt. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
See you soon. See you soon. Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you very much for taking time.
Yeah, two words from me. I thank Dr. Shailesh. I know him since 2009, and he is highly active, highly informative. He used to take tuitions for CSIR examinations also. At this young age, he has achieved more. I think a few people left, but maybe the reason is because this is a mixed team. So the 37 people who are there are purely chemistry people. A very good number for any international conference session, because usually in any sessions we do not have so many. This was highly informative, sir, and few people never share their trade secrets, because few others will. But you have shared every minute aspect of how we can understand a molecule completely. It is tedious because I myself teach combined applications. I know how difficult it is to cover all the topics in just 1 hour. You have done excellent job. Yes, we have stretched half an hour, but that is completely okay. That's the reason why we have kept only one session per day. And thank you so much, and thank you, Ganesh sir, for having chaired the session so beautifully, and your inputs are valuable to us. Thank you, and I am posting the link for the feedback and e-certificates now, and tomorrow we will have one session. Tomorrow's speaker will be Mr. Hemant Kumar. He will be speaking on applications of radiology, and he is our proud alumni. He was our student, MSc student, now in Sweden. So I hope people will join us tomorrow, and the session will be between 11 to 12, and other details will be posted in the group. Thank you. Thank you one and all. Thank you one and all. हाय, बहुत अच्छा किया रे, लेकिन सच में वक्त कम था. I know that. या हाँ, लेकिन बहुत अच्छा किया, सच में. आई अप्रिशिएट. मैं तुम्हें ना सर्टिफिकेट के लिए लिंक भेजी होगी, आप नाम फिलअप कर देना और सर्टिफिकेट ले लेना और बहुत सारा प्यार। थैंक यू। श्योर बहुत अच्छा गया, रिकॉर्ड भी किया हुआ है। रुकिए एक मिनट।